Hello, and thank you for selecting the Suppleo Education Training course, MAPA Training for Schools Managing Aggression in Educational Settings, a guide for school professionals. This training is brought to you by Suppleo Education, your accredited CPD provider. Please watch the video and listen to the voiceover in full. The questions that follow will refer to both the written and audio training content. Please ensure that your volume is turned up to an appropriate level to avoid any difficulties. At the end of this video, you will be required to answer questions relating to the training. You must answer them all correctly to pass the CPD accredited training and will receive a certificate via email. You may pause and re-watch the video content at any time. MAPA Training, Managing Aggression in Educational Settings, Overview. This training equips educational professionals with essential skills to effectively manage aggression and challenging behaviours in school environments. Participants will gain a deep understanding of aggression triggers, de-escalation techniques, and communication strategies to promote a safe and supportive learning environment. The course covers legal and ethical considerations, ensuring compliance with relevant regulations and safeguarding protocols. Participants will develop practical skills and strategies for preventing and responding to aggressive incidents, enhancing student well-being and staff confidence. Please note that this course provides the theoretical training for MAPA only. Candidates are required to complete the Team Teach MAPA training to gain the insurance required to facilitate physical restraint. Please contact your designated Suppleo consultant to inquire or enrol on the Team Teach MAPA training course. Course structure and units of learning. The 3 learning modules include key areas of training relevant for staff working within the education sector. This may include, but not be limited to, teachers and teaching assistants, school administrators, school counsellors and psychologists, special education professionals, and behaviour intervention specialists. The modules are as follows. Module 1, Understanding Aggression and De-escalation Techniques. Module 2, Implementing Effective Communications when Managing Aggression in Educational Settings. Module 3, Legal and Ethical Considerations in Managing Aggression, including use of physical restraint. Course aims. The course aims focus on the key objectives, encompassing knowledge acquisition, skill development, and adherence to legal and ethical standards in managing aggression within schools. The training aims to develop an understanding of the various forms of aggression and their triggers within educational settings. It aims to equip participants with practical de-escalation techniques to effectively manage aggressive incidents and maintain a safe learning environment. It aims to enhance communication skills and behaviour management strategies to promote positive interactions and prevent escalation of aggressive behaviour. Finally, it aims to provide insights into the legal and ethical considerations surrounding the management of aggression in educational settings, ensuring compliance with regulations and safeguarding protocols. Module 1, Understanding Aggression and De-escalation Techniques. MAPA refers to the management of actual or potential aggression. It is about responding to people in a non-judgmental way, treating them with respect and dignity, whilst supporting them to stay safe. It is an approach often utilised by individuals working within the professional fields of support, care and education, and is used by staff to support those who display challenging or aggressive behaviour. The primary focus of MAPA is prevention. creating an environment where aggression is less likely to occur and teaching staff how to respond appropriately when it does. The framework includes strategies for de-escalation, non-physical interventions, and post-incident follow-up. MAPA is especially useful in schools where managing aggression requires a balance between maintaining safety and supporting the emotional and educational needs of students. Definitions and types of aggression. Aggression can manifest in various forms, each requiring different approaches for intervention. Broadly, aggression refers to any behaviour that is intended to harm or hurt another person, either physically, verbally, or emotionally. In education settings, it is important to recognise the different types of aggression. Physical aggression can include hitting, kicking, or other physical attacks such as pushing or shoving. Verbal aggression might involve shouting, name calling, or using threatening or abusive language. Passive aggression is more subtle. It can include behaviours like non-compliance, stubbornness, or silent resistance, such as ignoring instructions or pretending not to see or hear the person speaking to them. Finally, there is self-directed aggression. In some cases, students may exhibit aggression towards themselves, such as self-harm. Understanding these different manifestations of aggression should help educators tailor their responses to each situation more effectively. Aggressive or violent behaviour typically doesn't occur in isolation. There are usually underlying triggers that cause a person to react aggressively. It can happen as a result of people being scared, angry, frustrated, anxious, or if they feel they are losing control. In schools, it's crucial to be aware of these triggers so that you can intervene early and prevent escalation. Common triggers can include frustration due to learning difficulties. When students struggle to understand or complete tasks, they may become frustrated, leading them to become disengaged or to act out through aggressive outbursts. Social conflicts or bullying. Interpersonal issues such as bullying or arguments between peers can easily provoke aggressive reactions. If a child has experienced a negative interaction in the home, then equally this can manifest as an aggressive outburst in school. Sensory overload or environmental stress. For some students, especially those with autism or sensory processing issues, a noisy or chaotic classroom can be overwhelming and may trigger aggression. Feeling misunderstood or unheard. When students feel that they are not being listened to or their needs are being ignored, they may resort to aggression to express their frustration. Often, an aggressive outburst is the manifestation of a child being unable to express or explain their thoughts and emotions effectively. Early recognition of the signs of aggression is essential for preventing situations from escalating. Being able to identify when a student is beginning to lose control allows staff to intervene before aggression fully manifests. Warning signs may include a raised voice or sudden silence, a noticeable change in tone, volume, or communication style is often a red flag. Some students may begin to shout or use a more aggressive tone, while others might suddenly become silent and withdrawn. Increased physical restlessness. Fidgeting, pacing, or continually moving around can indicate growing anxiety or frustration. This can lead to hostile body language. It's important to pay attention to clenched fists, tensed posture, or aggressive gestures. These are often the first physical signs of an impending outburst. Withdrawn or defensive behaviour. Some students might retreat into themselves, refusing to engage, which can signal that they are close to an emotional breaking point. De-escalation techniques. De-escalation is the process of calming down a person who is showing signs of aggression and distress. In a school setting, the goal is to diffuse the situation before it leads to violence or further disruption. Here are some effective de-escalation techniques. Number 1, use a calm, non-threatening tone. Speak in a slow, calm voice, avoiding any hint of anger or frustration. This may be challenging in the moment, however, it's important to maintain self-control when de-escalating aggressive behaviours. Your tone can help the student to feel more at ease and actually help to calm the situation before it escalates. Number 2, give space and avoid crowding the person. Physically stepping back and giving the student space can reduce their sense of being cornered or trapped, which often intensifies aggressive feelings. Number 3, acknowledge feelings and validate emotions. Let the student know that you understand why they are upset. Simple statements like, I can see you're really frustrated, acknowledge how they are feeling and help them to feel heard. Number 4, offer choices and alternative actions. Instead of giving orders, provide options. Offering a choice between two activities or actions gives the student some sense of control and can redirect their focus away from aggressive thoughts. Post-incident management. Once an incident of aggression has been safely managed, the next critical step is post-incident management. This phase is about learning from the situation and supporting emotional recovery for everyone involved, and should be done after the student is calm and able to function rationally. There are key steps in this process which may include the following. Conduct a debriefing session with the student. After the student has calmed down, it's important to talk through what's happened. This is not about punishment, but rather understanding the student's perspective and helping them to reflect on their behaviour. Reflect on triggers and how they were managed. It is important to analyse the situation, what triggered the aggression, and how effective was the response. This can help staff to learn and improve their approaches in future situations. Create a plan for preventing future incidents. Work with the student to identify strategies that can be used next time they feel overwhelmed. This may involve accommodations, such as providing a cool-off space or adjusting the learning environment, such as changing their position on a seating plan. For example, it could involve seating them closer to the door so that they can take a short time out outside of the classroom if they feel overwhelmed without causing disruption to the rest of the class. Support emotional recovery for all involved. Remember that aggression affects not only the person displaying the behaviour, but also those around them. Incidents of violence and aggression should be reported to the school as soon as possible, and records should be kept in line with local authority behaviour in schools policies. This may involve logging the incident on the school behaviour system in the first incident, or completing a local authority form, or depending on what the incident involved, making a record through the school child protection officer or system. Staff and students who may need to process the event emotionally should be supported by the school. Module 2, Implementing Effective Communications when Managing Aggression in Emotional Settings. The role of communication in de-escalation. Communication is one of the most powerful tools we have when managing aggression in educational settings. It plays a central role in de-escalating potentially volatile situations. The way we speak to students and even our body language can either calm or escalate a situation. Effective communication, both verbal and non-verbal, helps us build trust with the student. By choosing our words carefully, maintaining a calm tone, and showing understanding, we create an environment where the student feels heard and respected. This promotes cooperation and can often stop aggression from escalating. Non-verbal cues like facial expressions and body posture are just as important. Open body language and calm movements can signal to a student that you are not a threat, while aggressive or defensive postures may provoke further aggression. Good communication also helps us to identify potential triggers for aggression and understand the student's emotions, allowing us to intervene before the situation escalates. Verbal communication strategies. When communicating verbally with a student who is displaying aggressive behaviour, it is important to remain calm and neutral. The tone of your voice can have a significant impact on the student's reaction. A raised or tense voice can exacerbate aggression, while a steady, composed tone can help to diffuse it. Active listening is another key verbal strategy. When students feel heard, they are more likely to cooperate. This means acknowledging their feelings by repeating back what they've said, summarizing their concerns, or using phrases like, "I understand that you're upset." This shows empathy, that you are genuinely listening and validating their emotions. It's important to keep language simple and clear. Avoid overly complex explanations, as this may confuse or frustrate the student further. At the same time, stay clear of confrontational or negative language. Instead of saying, "calm down," which can seem dismissive, try using phrases like, "let's take a deep breath and talk about it." The goal is to help the student feel understood, not cornered or challenged. Nonverbal communication techniques. Nonverbal communication is just as important as verbal strategies when managing aggressive behaviour. Your body language can either help to calm a situation or make it worse. When approaching a student who is upset, be mindful to keep your body language open and non-threatening. Avoid crossing your arms, standing over the student, or making sharp or fast movements. Proximity is another key factor. Be sure to maintain an appropriate distance from the student, especially when they are upset. Invading their personal space may increase their anxiety and aggression. At the same time, you don't want to stand too far away, as this can make it feel disconnected. Find a comfortable balance that gives the student space while allowing for supportive engagement. Eye contact is important, but should be used carefully. While it can convey sympathy, empathy, and attention, prolonged or intense eye contact can feel confrontational. Use eye contact sparingly and avoid staring. Finally, make sure that your posture mirrors a calm and relaxed state. When you model calm behavior, it can influence the student to de-escalate. Adapting communication to individual needs. Effective communication is not one size fits all. When managing aggression in educational settings, it's essential to adapt communication to the individual needs of the student. This includes considering the student's age and developmental level. For younger students or those with developmental delays, communication should be simplified and more directive. Older students may require more detailed explanations or more autonomy in decision making. It is also important to be culturally sensitive. Different students come from diverse backgrounds, and communication styles can vary across cultures. What may be seen as a calming gesture in one culture may be interpreted differently in another. Being aware of these differences amongst the students in your care helps to avoid misunderstandings and ensures that communication remains respectful. Additionally, consider the individual triggers or emotional states of the student. Some students may have specific triggers that set off aggression, such as loud noises or certain topics of discussion. Being aware of these triggers allows us to communicate in a way that avoids further escalation. For students who struggle with verbal communication, visual aids or alternative methods such as gestures or written instructions can be extremely helpful. The key is to be flexible and responsive to the student's needs, ensuring that communication is as clear and supportive as possible. Module 3. Legal and ethical considerations in managing aggression, including the use of physical restraint. Legal and legislative considerations. When using physical restraint in schools, there are key legal and legislative frameworks that must guide staff behaviour. First and foremost is the duty of care. This legal principle requires staff to take all reasonable steps to prevent harm to students. In situations where physical restraint is necessary, the primary goal must always be to protect the safety of the student, other students, and staff. Any use of physical restraint must also fall under the concept of reasonable force. This means the level of force used must be proportionate to the threat posed, necessary to prevent harm, and applied only for as long as required to manage the immediate risk. Using excessive or unnecessary force can lead to legal consequences and potential harm to the child. The Children's Act of 1989-2004 emphasises that the welfare of the child must always come first. This law requires that any action taken by staff, including physical restraint, must prioritise the best interests of the child. This includes their safety, dignity, and well-being. Similarly, under the Human Rights Act of 1998, all individuals, including children, have the right to respect and dignity. Restraint that is degrading or overly restrictive violates this fundamental right. Staff must ensure that any use of physical intervention respects the child's human rights. It is also essential that all physical restraint aligns with local safeguarding procedures. These policies are designed to protect children from harm and abuse, ensuring that any intervention is lawful and safe. If physical restraint is used inappropriately, it could result in child protection allegations or criminal charges. Finally, rigorous documentation is critical. Every incident of restraint must be carefully recorded and reviewed to ensure that it complies with legal and school policies. This documentation serves as both a safeguard for the staff involved and as an important tool for improving future practices. Schools have a duty to ensure that all incidents are transparent and that any concerns are addressed. Physical restraint in MAPA. Physical restraint is included in MAPA as a last resort measure, only to be used when all other de-escalation techniques have failed and there is an immediate risk of harm to the individual or others. The goal of using physical restraint is to ensure the safety of everyone involved while also protecting the dignity of the person being restrained. MAPA trains staff in specific, regulated techniques designed to control aggressive behaviour in a way that minimises the risk of injury. These interventions are meant to be as brief and non-restrictive as possible, with a strong focus on respect and care. Importantly, any use of physical restraint must be followed by a thorough post-incident review. This allows staff and the individual involved to reflect on what happened, evaluate the effectiveness of the response, and develop strategies to prevent future incidents. The key principle behind physical restraint in MAPA is that it should always be used as a last resort, aimed solely at protecting safety and restoring calm. The MAPA approved approach to physical restraint ensures that restraint is used consistently across situations, that the risk of injury is minimised for both the child and the staff member, and that dignity and respect are maintained throughout the process. Key features of MAPA approved restraint techniques. They should be low risk, non harmful interventions. The techniques are designed to manage aggressive behaviour while preventing harm. This means avoiding any moves that could restrict breathing, cause pain, or result in injury to sensitive areas such as joints, the neck, or the chest. It involves control without force. MAPA techniques focus on control, not force. They allow staff to safely restrain a child in a way that stops aggressive behaviour without overwhelming or injuring them. Team-based moves. Whenever possible, MAPA encourages team-based restraints with 2 or more staff members, which are safer for both the child and the staff involved. For example, 2 staff members may hold a child in a controlled situation where one staff member focuses on securing the arms and the other on securing the legs. Positioning and communication is also important. The specific moves used in MAPA aim to avoid dangerous positions, such as those that may cause airway restriction, for example, a prone position. Throughout the restraint, staff are trained to communicate with the child, giving them instructions, reassurance, and explaining what is happening. While the specific techniques and moves are generally taught in a certified MAPA training course and may vary slightly based on age and the size of the child, some commonly taught techniques include guided walking techniques. This involves gently guiding a child away from a situation by controlling their upper body or arms to prevent them from lashing out. Safe holds. In situations where the child is a threat to themselves or others, MAPA teaches safe holding positions. For instance, a staff member might secure a child's arms and hold them to the side or behind in a way that prevents the child from hitting or kicking, while ensuring that no pressure is placed on the chest or neck. Seated restraint techniques. For smaller children or in certain situations, MAPA teaches safe seated restraint positions that allow staff to maintain control while keeping the child in a seating position, preventing further escalation. Standing or supported holds. MAPA includes techniques where a child is held in a standing position by staff, controlling their limbs while keeping them upright and safe. Adhering to specific MAPA-approved physical restraint techniques is essential because the techniques have been rigorously tested to ensure that they minimise the risk of injury to both staff and children. Using the standardised techniques ensures consistency in how restraint is applied, which is crucial for documentation and review. And by following approved techniques, staff are protected from liability should there be an investigation into the use of force. Important information for candidates. It is important for candidates to understand that they must not physically restrain a child without the correct insurance. Failure to adhere to this could result in a child protection allegation and criminal charges being filed. Please contact your designated Suppleo consultant to inquire or enrol on the Team Teach MAPA training course should you wish to complete this aspect of the training. In all other cases, individuals should only engage with the non-physical de-escalation techniques when managing aggression in schools. Reflection and key points. The importance of restraint training in schools. Restraint training plays a vital role in maintaining safe and secure environments in schools. First and foremost, It promotes safety by providing staff with the skills they need to manage difficult situations effectively. This helps to ensure the well-being of both staff and students during potentially challenging incidents. Equally important are the legal and ethical considerations. Schools must align with laws and ethical standards, ensuring that any use of restraint is responsible and compliant with regulations. This protects both students and staff from harm and liability. Key techniques taught in restraint training include verbal and non-verbal de-escalation, physical restraint, seclusion, and mechanical restraint. The aim here is to minimize harm as much as possible while keeping everyone safe. Restraint training doesn't just focus on safety, it also encourages positive student development. It helps to promote a supportive environment where students' emotional well-being is a priority, creating a space where students can thrive both academically and emotionally. Managing incidents effectively is another key component. Students need to be proactive in identifying risk factors for themselves and applying de-escalation strategies and making sure that all incidents are documented properly. This helps schools to maintain transparency and accountability. Summary and access to further training. In summary, MAPA training does not allow staff to restrain however necessary. Rather, it equips them with the structured and approved techniques that prioritise safety and dignity in every situation. These specific techniques are designed to be low risk, ensuring that restraint is used safely and effectively and only when absolutely necessary. Contact your designated consultant for further Team Teach MAPA training. Thank you for selecting Suppleo Education MAPA Training for Schools Managing Aggression in Educational Settings, a guide for school professionals. Please proceed to the next page on the website and follow the instructions to answer the assessment questions.